Hey y'all, it's Gord, your hurtin' hippie. It is Sunday. It is episode 138 of my Hippie News Network. Hippie News, where the anchor may be baked, but the news has not been faked. And let's get at her. Pitter patter, let's get at her. I know I'm not doing very well. I've had a really rough week, my friends. Let me adjust that a bit. This whole weekend has just been a lot of pressure and a lot of stress and a lot of difficulty, and it's now 4:30 in the afternoon, and I'm just getting to the news. So I hope you bear with me. I hope it's testing out well. I've had trouble with the computer too to top it all off. But as they say, let's get at her. First, we're going to have a little bit of, that is sugar wax, Frankenstein, and it's a really nice calming one. And I really need that, my friends, this week. Cheers. Wow. That was 2 full tokes on that. I got no water here, so a little bit of coffee to ease the chest. And let's get at her. This one, what's happened this last week or so since I did the last news, and it's been a couple of weeks, is Canadian legalization has happened. It has come to the forefront. The end of prohibition is nigh. But there's an awful lot of people upset over it because it is not working the best it could. A lot of people need to take some patience with this. Really, I ask you guys to look back to the early days of the end of prohibition of alcohol, and it took a long time before alcohol was truly free. They took baby steps in doing it. They've taken baby steps. They're going to make a whole bunch of mistakes. They have made a bunch of mistakes. And we're going to talk about a few of them. This whole episode this time, my friends, is all about legalization. All about the Canadian legalization. So, pitter patter, let's get at her. All these news stories will be linked below. Please look below. Carry them through. If they got something interesting to you, let's talk about it. If it helps you in talking to someone else, share it, that kind of thing. The first story is brought by globalnews.ca, and it is Cannabis IQ, legalization leaves medical users stranded, and more. And it starts off to talk about one of the unfortunate results of legalization: medical marijuana patients that are facing shortages or the complete disappearance of the medical product. And this is what really bothers me, because it's happening all over the place. I talk to people online all the time about this, and that's why the gray market is just flourishing, maybe doing better in the last few weeks. Listen to this statement. While Health Canada admitted it did not require licensed producers, LPs, to set aside a certain amount of product for medical users, the ministry says producers are expected to. So it's the old, I didn't tell you, but you should have done it anyway. Don't listen to what I say, listen to what I mean, kind of thing. In the absence of regulatory requirements to set aside pot for medical users, how can Ottawa help? Well, the next step is at least they could, because it's too late now to say, hey, set aside something for the medical users. If there's going to be a shortage, it should only be to recreational, but it is not. then what they have to do is clear the backlog of license applications for companies that want to be producers. There are thousands of backed up applications. They were not ready. They are not ready. They need to push these through, and they need to enforce them. I know of a store that was ready, willing, and able just 3 blocks from my house. They got the federal government okie dokie. They got the provincial government okie dokie with their licensing, and they got the city to okay them and their position, but the local community association has barred them from starting up. That shouldn't be allowed. Community associations are not above the law. And you know, the silly thing is, the place that they want to put it at is beside a cigarette store and an alcohol store. 2 stores of poison that are allowed, 1 store of health that's not. Let's move on. Let's move on. None of these are really great stories. The next story, also by Global News, is Canada's legal cannabis market needs 2 years to stabilize. This is a very good story. The guy says Canadians should expect legal cannabis prices to fluctuate for roughly 2 years, according to an analyst tracking the market price for marijuana. I think about 2 years will be the time span for the prices to stabilize, Martin said. He used legalization in Oregon, where supply was initially low and prices were high, as an example. A period of oversupply and price compression followed. Of course, new product types are coming in within that 2-year window, so it will be hard to tell. And he's referring to the fact that during this next couple of years, while the market is going to try to stabilize, they are going to introduce edibles, they're going to introduce concentrates. That is all supposed to come next year. That will destabilize a bit again. It's a brand new market. Even a new market for something that isn't regulated is really buggy for the first little while. It's going to take a while. It's a good story. You can go on and read more about it. I don't have much more to say about it. Next story comes from the Calgary Herald, right here in my city. The AGLC, Alberta Government Liquor and Cannabis Board, expects tight cannabis supply as more Calgary stores are set to open. This is a good one. I've included it for all of you just so that you can have a good look at the days post legalization. Here it says Alberta cannabis supply will be stretched to meet the demands of dozens of new stores expected to open in the coming weeks, says the provincial regulator. Hundreds of stores are opening over the next couple of months throughout the province. And I've spoken to a few that are working with those owners, and they don't even have a guaranteed supply yet. There are not enough legal producers, licensed producers, LPs, so to speak, to supply all these cannabis stores. I do hope that the medical people start fighting loud enough that they open this up and they realize they need to have a lot more LPs. Stop protecting and keeping that market tight. Open it up. There's no reason not to. Tilray, the big players, Tweed, they're all going to make their money, and shame on them if they weren't ready. But the smaller ones are ready to come in, and the thing they're doing is saying, but you, while you wait for your license, if you supply to any of these illegal stores and we find out about it, well, then you're not getting your license. So really, there is a stranglehold on product out there. I don't see it tightening up for the gray market. I don't. But I don't know that for sure. I'm not that deep into knowledge of that area. The next story is just a good one. It's just cute, and I just wanted to bring it to you. And you'll have to check below. I'm not doing any of these, well, let's do it for this one. Edmonton Girl Guide sells out cookies in the cannabis store lineup. This is, if I wasn't reading this and sharing it right there, then if I wasn't, I would say this is urban myth, urban stories, you know, that, but no, as Edmonton's lined up to buy legal cannabis from retail stores, Alina Childs saw a business opportunity. 9-year-old girl guide and her father showed up at the Nova Cannabis just south of White Avenue, pulling a wagon filled with top shelf munchies, sandwich cookies, and mint thins. I'm going back to the big one, but you know what? I say we all stop and have a little toke of something. Yes, I've been dealing with the Yokan Uni, and it is beautiful. Have a little token, say cheers, good girl, way to go. Who else has got the munchies? Great spot. I love that kind of story. I love to bring that kind of story to you. Oh, that was hot. Now, thanks to Narcity.com. Excuse me. I should cut that out, but the next story, Narcity.com, prices of cannabis across the country. In Alberta, they say 1 gram, $9 to $15 at the stores. With shipping, $10. BC, $7 to $14, with shipping, $10. Manitoba, 1 gram, $12. Manitoba is going to be a little different. Although they don't have a lot of private retailers on the go yet, they're all allowed to sell their own product. So that's a big change, and that's where we need to be. In New Brunswick, $9 to $12, which is pretty good. Shipping is only $7. So the prices are kind of recessed more in the East Coast than I thought they would be. There must be a lot of growers around there. Newfoundland and Labrador, $6.89 to $12.99. Shipping $10 flat fee, but free if it's over 100. Nova Scotia, $6.33 a gram. That's kind of amazing, and they didn't have the shipping price. In the Northwest Territories, hold your hat, $18 a gram. In Nunavut, none. And this one I wanted to bring to all your attention. I think Canadians should stand up and say, what the fuck, when I read this. Nunavut. That's our most recent territory. The lack of information on Nunavut's weed pricing has to do with the fact that a company called Tweed has the rights to selling weed in the territory, but has not opened up anything as of yet. One company has rights for Nunavut. They're not saying, this doesn't say, and I shouldn't infer, but I tend to, that they have exclusive rights. It doesn't say exclusive rights, but they do. They applied, they got the rights, and they haven't even opened a store yet. I, as a person who helps people online often, I do talk to people from Nunavut. They are just like the rest of us Canadians. They work hard, they hurt hard, and they need medicine. And this is recreation, and so it's a little bit different, but I always lean to the recreational side anyway. That's the way I feel. So there's the prices across our great country. Now, I'll say on my side, in the gray market, you're seeing anywhere from a low of $3 a gram, and I don't trust those places, to $7 to $11 a gram. More average, 7 to 11. Yes, there are the I shouldn't call them fly by night. They're around a while. There are the stores that I have no idea how they support it, and I've heard that their product is mediocre, but $3 and $4 grams. So when you're fighting those prices across Canada with a good supply that can go right across Canada, then you can see that right now it's all the new taxes that are absolutely pulling this down. There is before I move on to the last thing, and the last is an overarching story, I'm going to do a little bit of opinion here. I'm going to say I was surprised, and now that I see it, I go, who'd have thunk? I should have thunk. The legal, fully legal, supported by the government, weed market is bigger than I thought it would be. I really thought at those prices, most people would stay away. But no, there's a big market, and they're finding that an awful lot of people who have never done it were just waiting for it to be legal. Not only that, just a whole bunch of people that never said they did it. Now that it's legal, there's no ramifications to saying they do it. So it has blown up. I thought it would be bigger than it was, than they were estimating it to be, but I never thought it would be this really big. I just never thought of it that way, because I thought, even though I know there's a lot of smokers in this country, tokers, a lot of them want to deal at the gray market area because it's cheaper and there's been less tax and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very much in touch with that market, and really nothing's dipped there yet. All these stores opened up all across the country, and lots more going through those doors. So there is a big demand for cannabis across Canada, larger than even I thought. We're about to see big things change, and that's what segues me into the final thing. This one from leafly.com is that support for cannabis legalization has grown to 62%. All told, 62% of Americans, this is an American thing, I said it was Canada, but at the end, let's talk bigger. Pew found that younger generations were more supportive, with majorities of millennials, 74%, and Generation Xers, 63%, and baby boomers, 54%. The older generation, a little older than me, support at 39%, but that's double what it was in 2000. So it used to be in 1969, 84% of the population thought it should be illegal. When asked if you had the ability, legal or not, should it be legal or not legal, 84%, only 12% said it should be legal. Now, the people that say it should be legal in 2018, 62%, as compared to 34 that used to be 84, 34 saying it should still be illegal. It's amazing. It's changing. The world is changing, and Canada has, despite our photo op social justice prime minister, despite it, he's done something well here. It's the first step into a better market and a better safety for the world and better happiness and all that kind of stuff. Now I think politically, it's time for the Conservatives to come back into power. They're not going to take this away, but they're going to make it smarter. They're going to make it more logical. They're going to trim it down a bit. They're going to make the taxes work better. Larger taxes don't bring in a bigger base. Smaller taxes create more purchasers through that system and usually build the base better. So conservative thinking is needed. It's a mess, but we're there, and I say shout out to Canada. Vive le Canada. And thank you, all of you, for watching this one, which will be one of my favorites, I think. I hope I've done well. I hope it sounds well. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. So peace and cheers, love and harmony. Catch you on the flip side. Oops, hang on. And now I